After a string of financial losses at the box office, Disney is facing even more layoffs.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new video, and consider becoming a channel member. You can always say, saying ain't so. Unfortunately, it is so for the Walt Disney Company as they are facing even more layoffs during the time when governments and countries and states were illegally putting us under house arrest because of some super flu that was going around. We saw many entertainment companies sell off certain assets they owned. I remember Disney actually sold off a cybersecurity company that they owned, and everyone was like, why do they even have a cybersecurity company? I digress on that. Point being, Disney was slated to make a full recovery once that whole situation was resolved. However, they did not, because instead of giving the public exactly what they wanted, they decided to just go all in on this DEI nonsense and begin to pander to a certain audience that just doesn't exist. It might exist on the internet, but it doesn't exist in real life. So this is according to bleedingfool.com, not that knockoff website. This is bleedingfool.com. More Disney layoffs hit hundreds of corporate employees. A new round of layoffs impacted hundreds of Disney's corporate employees last week. An estimated 300 people are affected by the layoffs, which started last Tuesday. The employees affected are all in the U.S., with multiple divisions impacted, including legal, human resources, finance, and communications, according to the Wrap. The layoff represents continued cord-cutting and pessimistic consumer sentiment tied to the studio's reputation for grooming children, combined with record inflation under the current administration. Last year, Disney eliminated 7,000 jobs worldwide, with CEO Bob Iger promising an additional $2 billion in additional cost saving. Disney recently swung the axe across multiple TV properties, including ABC News and documentary channel Nat Geo. A company spokesperson attributed the most recent round of cuts to a company effort to make corporate level functions operate more efficiently. We continually evaluate ways to invest in our businesses and more effectively manage our resources and costs to fuel the state of the art creativity and innovation that consumers value and expect from Disney, the spokesperson said in a statement sent to multiple outlets. As part of this ongoing optimization work, we have been reviewing the cost structure of our corporate level functions and have determined there are ways for them to operate more efficiently. I'm not laughing. This is actually an article. Haha, let me tell you how to optimize your work. Keep firing the woke bleeps that have destroyed the brands you manage. You begin with Kathleen Kennedy. In the meantime, pass the popcorn. I'm enjoying this. Well said. Go to bleedingfool.com and read the full article for yourself. I hate to see it in some ways because growing up, a Disney flop was almost unheard of. I mean, sure, you heard about them every once in a while with Home on the Range or Treasure Planet. Those were kind of outliers. I remember every Disney feature film, every Disney animation, every Pixar release, they were all massive hits for Disney, or at least were hits enough where the company made a profit off of it. Now it's like when a Disney movie makes money, you're like, whoa, a Disney movie made a profit. And that is just in the span of 5 years. So how can Disney right this ship? Well, they've done a couple of things right. For one thing, they're consolidating all of their streaming apps. Disney had a whopping something like 5 apps when really they only needed 2. They needed Disney Plus and one for their sports. For people who aren't interested, like in Star Wars, the Nat Geo stuff, Marvel, they just wanted to watch Sports Ball. They needed their ESPN app. And then they needed Disney Plus for everything else. So they are doing a few things correctly. They're streamlining all those other apps into Disney Plus, and I think that is very smart. Here are 3 things that I think will help the company succeed. For one thing, they need to divest from Hulu. When they first bought 20th Century Fox, I was thinking, oh, this is great because they have a stake in Hulu along with Comcast, which owns NBC and Universal. But then Comcast wanted to do their own app, which of course is Peacock, but then they still hung on to Hulu. And what Disney should do is divest from it or sell off their assets to a different company because Hulu has become utterly just repetitive for them. What I thought was going to happen when they bought Fox was that they were going to put all their Fox feature films, so like Die Hard, the Alien series, Predator, they were going to put all of those onto Hulu. That's where they would go. But they haven't done that. Instead, they've just kind of shoved them onto Disney Plus, which really surprises me because they're not connected to the Disney brand. They should have done that, but they haven't. So I think if they're going to put all their eggs in the basket of Disney Plus and ESPN, I think that they should just get rid of it. It's just costing them money. No one is getting, and Hulu really needs to go back what it used to be, which was more of a neutral streaming service that also brought in other shows from English speaking companies. That's where I saw a lot of British and Australian shows as well as Canadian. I would watch them on Hulu because I couldn't get access to them on even cable at some points. So that's really what Hulu needs to do in itself. But back to Disney, they need to divest from Hulu. They need to continue to streamline all their other apps. They just need to have the two, Disney Plus and ESPN, and they need to have a touchstone part of Disney Plus where you can go into it, kind of how HBO Max has a Turner Classic Movies hub. Disney Plus needs to have a touchstone hub, and that's where you can find, the more adult oriented entertainment. That's just my opinion, but I think that they should do that in regards to their streaming apps. Number two, they need to stop all the changes they're doing at the parks. No one cares about them. They want to change Frontierland into Cars Land. They already have a Cars ride in California Adventure. They need to keep Frontierland. That is something that Walt Disney really put his heart and soul into, is that part of the park, because it's a legacy for him. He wanted to have a connection to America and her roots in the Old West on the frontier. And I think that that is a good aspect of it. Now, I know Splash Mountain, there was some talk because a bunch of social media weirdos and media outlets were all raging about some of the stuff that was going on. So if they wanted to sort of revamp that into The Princess and the Frog, I actually didn't see a problem with that, but Splash Mountain ends up being incredibly popular. But if they were going to change it, what they should have done is just replace the models. But instead of doing that, they decided to do a complete alteration of it, which only led to mechanical failures. They should have just swapped out the stuff that was already there and put in Tiana and the alligators and everything else from that movie. That's what they should have done, but they didn't do that. They decided to just give it a complete total overhaul, and I think that was a mistake. They should have just left it as it was and just swapped out some things. And they could have still called it Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but from my understanding is it's not popular with the guests. So they just need to stop messing with the parks. Just leave it alone. Everyone is enjoying it. The only other thing I would recommend is either in Disney World or in Disneyland, they need to put something for Rapunzel, who continues to get more popular, especially with Tangled and the TV show. I think it's called Tangled Ever After being placed on Disney Plus. That's only increased Rapunzel's popularity as a Disney princess. So they really need to do something in regards to her. They need to actually do something. So if you're going to make an alteration, make a Rorona land. That would be really cool. I don't see an issue with that. Do that, but in a blank part of the park, or a park that's not very popular. But whatever the case may be, they just need to not mess with the parks. The third and final thing they should be doing is they need to be firing all these political correct, identity politic obsessed, woke idiots who have been ruining the brand. Now, I understand that at Marvel, they have been quietly firing some of those people by not extending their contracts or just saying, we're not picking up your option anymore. And they need to do that across the board. They need to do that at Lucasfilm. They need to do that at Pixar. They need to do it at Disney Animation. And just get rid of all of those morons. Now, they did demote the woman who was the head of Disney Animation, who ruined Wish and has been really pushing kind of the woke ideology into the films, where she is just working on Frozen 3 and 4, and they need to bring John Lasseter back. They fired him over a silly Me Too thing, and they just need to bring him back, especially since Pixar and Blue Sky Studios are now under the Disney Animation umbrella. They just need to bring him back and put him in charge of Disney animation. I've actually heard rumors that other companies are sniffing around trying to get him. Currently, I think he's at Skydance, which just bought CBS and Paramount. So they may not want to get rid of him because all of a sudden he's got access to a lot of Nickelodeon properties. So he may be like, yeah, no, I don't want to leave. I'm happy where I'm at Skydance. Those are the three things that Disney needs to do to get back on track. Streamline their apps down to 2, divest from Hulu. They need to not mess with the parks anymore. They need to just leave them be and install something to do with Rapunzel. And last but certainly not least, they need to just fire all of the woke idiots who are ruining their company. And I do think it is just that easy. I'm not saying it won't take a while. Yes, it quite possibly will take some time. But I think if they do those 3 things, I think Disney can get back on track. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments section below. Give this video a like, share it out to all your friends, and of course, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member where you get all kinds of perks. Don't forget, if you don't want to support me on big tech, click on the link to my locals community. It's kind of like a Patreon or Subscribe Star where you can give me tips or become a monthly subscriber. I really appreciate it. It helps out small indie creators like myself. You can also pick up one of my books on Amazon, grab one or all 4 and leave them 5-star reviews. I really thank you in advance for doing that. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.
Cause I've been living life right like I